Good evening. I hope you had a good week so far. Just want to come to you again this evening, look through the book of Haggai for our Wednesday evening service. And Haggai chapter 1, and it's going to be verse 1 down to the end of the chapter. So let's kind of take it a little at a time here. Haggai chapter 1 verse 7 says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways." That's one of the main points that I want to make here, is that it repeats what it said in verse 5. Consider your ways. We need to consider what we're doing, what we're not doing for the Lord. If you remember, like we studied last week, they had not done what God had asked them to do. And we need to consider our ways. Are we doing what God has asked us to do? Are we not doing something He's asked us to do? Are we doing something He's asked us not to do? Consider your ways. Pray about it. Think about it. What has God asked you to do? Verse 8, "Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord." The second point that I like to see here is not only do we need to consider what we're doing, but God is a merciful God, and if we have not done something right in the past, we still can correct it. God is a merciful God. God is a God of second chances. God is not just a God that for one time, you have to do it this first time, He has no other chance at all, but He is a God of second chances. He says, "Go to the mountain. Bring the wood, build the house. I will take pleasure in it. I will be glorified." He doesn't say it's been too late. He says, do it now. You still have opportunity to do it. In verse 9, "Ye looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith the Lord of hosts? Because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house." It says, you went everywhere, you were looking for stuff. You were looking for what you need. You were working so hard, and you would come, you would work, and it wouldn't amount to much. You bring it home, and God would blow on it. In other words, it's kind of like wheat in a field. And you gather the wheat, and you set it maybe on the ground, and the big gust of wind comes and just blows it all around, and all your workers for nothing. That's what he's saying here. I blew it around and made it where it was like you had done no work at all, because they weren't doing what God had asked them to do. Verse 10, "Therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit." So it's the same thing. God is not blessing them because they're not doing what they ought to do. And same thing in verse 11, "I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, upon the corn, upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the hands." So everything, nothing was being blessed because they were not doing what they were supposed to do. And that is what we need to look at in our life, in our church, in our country. Are we going to be blessed if we don't do what God has told us to do? Verse 12, "Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Joshua the son of Josedek the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him, and the people did fear before the Lord." Another important point here is leadership matters. It says Zerubbabel, Joshua, these leaders. Zerubbabel is back in verse 1, Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest. So Zerubbabel is the governor, so he's the political leader. Joshua is the high priest, so he is the spiritual leader. And then you have Haggai as well, who is a spiritual leader as well. Haggai did his job as a spiritual leader, and he is able to reach the governor, the political leader, and the high priest, another spiritual leader. And so, because Haggai did his job, now what happens is Zerubbabel does his job, Joshua does his job, and they lead the people in the right way now. Leadership matters. If you do your job, especially if you're a leader, maybe it's a Sunday school teacher, you know, I talk to myself doing the same thing as a pastor. Maybe there's other pastors listening to this video. Maybe it's you're leading another way in the church. It matters. Leadership matters. Political leadership matters. It matters the political leader that we put in, and people tend to follow them. It matters who we vote for. It matters who we vote for president. It matters who we vote for governor. It matters who we vote to county commissioner, mayor, on and on and on. Congressmen, congresswomen, senators. It matters who we vote for. In verse 13, that spake Haggai, the Lord's messenger, and the Lord's message unto the people, saying, I am with you, said the Lord. So God sends a message to Haggai, and he says, I am with you. That was encouraging to them. God is with us. And God was on their side, even though they had done wrong. But now they have changed their ways. In verse 14, and the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people. And they came and did work in the house of the Lord of hosts, their God. So yet again, it's showing us leadership matters. And they're able to lead the people to work on the house of the Lord. And the people come and they do work in the house of the Lord. So not only does leadership matter, but it matters if everybody else follows the leadership. We need good leadership, but we also need people to follow the leadership. And verse 15 just kind of ends it in the 4 and 20th day of the 6th month in the 2nd year of Darius the king. So it basically just tells us when that this happened. It's a footnote, a time stamp of history, I should say. Consider what you're doing. Each and every one of us. If we're a leader, we need to think about what we're doing. We need to think about what leaders that we're putting in office. I know right now it's up in the air how the election's going to be in the fall in November. Hopefully, everything works out fine there, and I'm sure it will. But that vote is coming up. Who we vote for matters. It matters a whole lot. And more importantly, our spiritual leadership matters. And we need to get our churches back to serving the Lord like we should. Well, that's just a little devotional this evening from Haggai chapter 1. And we hope to see you back 11 o'clock on Sunday as well.